This lighting is a little spooky. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Zach Nanimus. This is my first video since the new wave of the Collector's Agency. My brother and I, Jeremy, started this YouTube channel because we love to collect stuff. As you can see, my wall, it's a sickness really. But in addition to collecting toys, I also like to collect comic books, and quite a few of them. And today, I want to talk about something new that Marvel is doing for the month of October. Or was it did they start in November? I'm not sure. I bought it really recently. They are relaunching their What If series. And their What If series is something that they started in 1977, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like, what if X happened to Y under these circumstances? Z circumstances, whatever. So they're doing it again, and today we are going to be talking about what if Peter Parker was the Punisher. Hey, it autofocused. It doesn't recognize that as a face. Okay, so I have to admit that when I first saw this, I thought it was a pretty interesting concept, but ultimately it was because I thought it was going to be a little bit different. This is the new Uncanny X-Men #1, which if we were going to count the number ones, we'd literally be into like the same number of Uncanny X-Men that there actually are, which is in the 800s or 900s. It's a very old comic book. Either way, so we go through the story of Peter Parker, and it starts pretty much the same way that Peter Parker started, which, you know, honestly makes sense. He has to get spider powers at some point, goes through his wrestling days, the infamous thief that would eventually shoot Uncle Ben. Nothing new there. The weird thing is that when he started his whole wrestling thing, you see, this is our first shot of him in the suit that he'll eventually wear as a crime fighter in the ring. I'm waiting for it to focus. Maybe it's not going to, but it's okay. He's already got the big white skull on him, which means that he had like this both spider, because he's definitely still a spider guy. He's got webbing all over him. I'm sorry, that's not focusing very well. There it goes. And he's definitely got webbing all over him, but he's got that white skull on him for no reason. That was what really bugged me about all this, is that he seems to have these Punisher themes like right off the bat, just because I guess this is what if Peter Parker was like a skull-obsessed person. So, you know, the killer kills Uncle Ben, and then he goes after him. He accidentally shoots him. I think that usually happens in the comic books, and then it just so happens that this time there was a reporter. And that reporter is from the Daily Bugle, and so J. Jonah Jameson starts to sensationalize. This is something that they have a little memoriam to Gary Frederick, co-creator of Ghost Rider. It's really nice. If you pick up a comic book, you see this in there, go ahead and give it a read. You know, this is a nice little memorial. I personally wasn't a fan. Not that I didn't like it, I just didn't know who he was. You know, he's not one of the comic book people that I know. So there's already a reporter there, and J. Jonah Jameson immediately starts sensationalizing him as this punishing spider. That's what they call him, the punishing spider. So this isn't quite if Peter Parker became the Punisher, it's if J. Jonah Jameson started calling him the punishing spider because Peter Parker wears a skull. Then Peter Parker decides that he's going to start shooting people, but he never kills the Green Goblin for some reason. He saves Gwen Stacy. I'm skipping a couple pages here. He saves Gwen Stacy, which, to me, the story of the Punisher has always been one of tragedy. Is that going to focus or what? There we go. So he winds up saving Gwen Stacy, and he gives up being Spider-Man, Punisher, Spider Punisher, guy with guns and webs man, and then, because he stops being Spider Punisher Man, it eventually creates Frank Castle. Because Spider-Man wasn't there to stop crime, and then there's Frank Castle. So it goes absolutely nowhere. It's zero-sum, because, you know, it's what if the events of Spider-Man were slightly different, and those events created the Punisher. Not if, you know, Peter Parker literally became the Punisher, and had, you know, super strength and was a tech genius on top of having a truly ruthless sense of vengeance. But I digress. Really what I think I would have liked to have seen happen in this comic book would be for them to really go full bore with the idea of Peter Parker becoming the Punisher in a lasting way. It changed his life fundamentally to where he becomes something more like Frank Castle. Me personally, I would have liked to have seen him have some kind of involvement with the military. Maybe he gets bitten by the spider, and he didn't really have a way to pay for college. It's poor Aunt May and Uncle Ben, living in Queens with Peter, and he didn't really have an outlet to go to college, so maybe he, turned to the military, maybe the Marines, just like Frank, in order to pay for college, and before it wasn't even an option, but after the spider bite, now he's fit for duty. Maybe, he leaves, he goes off to war, but while he's gone, there's a terrorist attack, and Ben and May die, so he comes back, he comes back from one war and steps into another one, and this is what makes him, not your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but like Frank, someone who just wants to see people punished. I think that would have been slightly more interesting. This kind of came and went without making much of an impact on its own timeline, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And one of the things that I'm worried about with this whole what if thing is creating a new multiverse again. Because we already have a multiverse, we crush it down every once in a while. We most recently did with Secret Wars 3. But it looks like this is essentially another universe. He's the punishing spider from Earth 27629991959902553. That's a British sitcom reference, and I got it wrong. Would I pick up What If Peter Parker Wore a White Skull on his chest and shot a few of the villains? No. If I could go back in time, I would say no. It didn't really deliver on what it said it was going to. He's not the Punisher. He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who uses guns sometimes and then quits. So honestly, I don't know if you follow the main line of Marvel. I'm going through Secret Wars right now, so some specific things that are happening in the timeline are important for me to know if I'm interested in the story, which I am. This what if, all this what if stuff that's going on right now is just additional books to a lot that you have to get through. So I would skip it and maybe pick up some of the other Secret Wars stuff. Not Secret Wars, pick up some of the other Infinity Wars stuff or Infinity Warps stuff if you haven't yet. But hey, that's the word from Just One Nerd. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps us out. This is going to be going onto a playlist that you'll be able to follow later. Hopefully we'll be able to have some here and here. Subscribe here. More videos here. This is about where I want to put them. Okay, go!